Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All, the end of season review. I hope all of you are well. It's been a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and I hope you've all been enjoying a bit of a stress-free time. All Arsenal-related stuff. It's like getting off the roller coaster, and the stomachs are settled and stuff. And now you can enjoy your summer. But of course, we won't because we're going to be refreshing our feed on our phones. Have we signed anybody yet? Finding out what Ornstein's saying, finding out what Stepney down there says, the ITK, he knows what's going on. He comes through with some stuff. Obviously, Daniel James down there, he's a season ticket holder. He gets some stuff. And we all know Brian Haley is the man for the source. Like Fabrizio, he's going to come through this summer as well. But thanks for joining us again. Obviously, we've got Brian, Daniel James, and Steve Osakwe with us tonight, and we're going to go through the second half of the season, a little bit like we did earlier on this season. We went through the first half of the season. We obviously had the World Cup break, and just going to have a chat and reminisce over a few things and anything that pops up. And obviously, as the season progresses, as we go along with the slides, you'll see obviously where things kind of took a turn left. But no, appreciate you guys joining me as usual. And let's get into it. So after that momentous World Cup final, probably one of the best that probably we've witnessed, we got back into action. But that was obviously off the back of an injury to Gabriel Jesus, which was picked up during the World Cup. And we were all sort of concerned, I think, the pessimists would say that's it. The title run's over. We've got to rely on Eddie Nketiah. And obviously, we know what happened with that. Obviously, he came up and stepped up in that 3-1 win, against West Ham. Brian, what was your thoughts when that Jesus injury came through? Were you thinking, all right, it's just the one injury, we'll be able to sort of absorb it a little bit, or were you just worried that things would fall apart straight away, or what did you have confidence in Eddie?
I've genuinely had confidence in Eddie anyway. I'm probably one of possibly a few, but I had confidence in him because he's a goal scorer. You can see that. Yes, he may not necessarily take every chance that he basically gets, but one of the ones that he does seem to punish teams. So I didn't have a problem too much around it. And I think you've got to look at the fact that goals were also coming from all around the team. So I didn't really see it as too much of a problem. The general concern was probably the length of time that he was going to be away and how we could actually be consistent enough with the length of time he was away without his presence and general overall performances. And obviously the goals that he contributes as well, and I think that was the thing. It was the length of time. Could we get away with that amount of time of him not being in and around the squad? But certainly for a number of weeks, Eddie chipped in, and I know we're going to be covering a few things like later on this evening, and I suppose just covering one of it, he probably could have quite easily been one of my unsung heroes this season, because he chipped in. And and you can't ask for much more than that when your number one striker's out and you've come in as the number two and chipped in with goals. So
I think we've said in the past Hayland, Steve, and obviously Hayland stepped up. It's not the first time. It wouldn't be the last time someone from Hayland would come up clutch, was it? Obviously, as we will see later on. But yeah, same as I said to Brian. Did you have any concerns, or was it the fact that we had the January window around the corner that it was okay, that could soften it a little bit? We could maybe see what we could do there, or what was your thoughts on that?
I think we talked about it before around the time, and I was quite happy with Eddie. I thought he would come in and do a good job. He proved that towards the end of last season. Sorry, not this season, but the season before, where he came in and he scored us goals, important goals. He got some criticism for not scoring in a couple of games towards the back end of last season as well, and he just sort of go. He's done well. He come in and scored 2 against Chelsea last season, so
Yeah.
I was all right. And of course, January wasn't far away, so we did a transfer show, and it was the hope that I thought we might go for a bigger striker up front, a plan B, somebody to just lighten the load and muscle the defenders a little bit as well. But yeah, Arteta knows best.
Yeah, well, yeah, it seems so. Daniel, we obviously in January we moved on to January, and then we sort of had some good results there, but they were bookended by two sort of disappointing ones. You would have been at that game in January against Newcastle and Man United. What was your thoughts on that? Because obviously the frustration, I think I might have spoken to you at the time, but the frustration of that one. When we look at the home record and the away record at the end of this, and we compare it with the Man City one, and was I think you may have even done a blog then, I think, for us, so how frustrated was that one, and those 2 points dropped?
Yeah, the Newcastle one was real disappointing. Yeah, I was at that game. Newcastle wasted a lot of time, but you know what? It's part of the dark arts nowadays. It's part of the strategy a lot of clubs are using to waste time. Yeah, it was real frustrating. Then there was that penalty incident where I think it was Dan Burn who pulled back. I think it was Gabriel. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's Gabriel Magalhaes, yeah.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. So then there was that. It was just a real frustrating game. Newcastle came with a game plan that day, and it really worked. They got the Arsenal fans all wound up, wasted time, rolling around on the floor. Joe Linton that day really cheesed me off, man. But you know what? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because Xhaka did it against, who did he do it against in one of the final games of the season? I can't remember who he did it.
What this season?
Yeah, just
against Newcastle.
Against Newcastle. Yeah. He got them back, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was real disappointing. And like I said before, one of the previous shows, when I look back at the season, the home form is where we kind of lost it, really. So we dropped quite a lot of points. The away form has been brilliant.
Yeah, we touched on that.
Yeah,
and I think that was probably the first result where the talk of a plan B kind of came around, where you couldn't break anyone down, playing the football that you normally play. And that was where I think the first sort of shoots of like, we need someone else, a different type of football to break down teams like that. I mean, okay, if you had a big man up there in Newcastle, obviously big guys, they would have probably been food and drinks to them. But I think that was a really disappointing one, because they were obviously doing well. And they obviously, after 5 minutes, they realised that, okay, we're not going to play. We're just going to go for long diag set pieces and just try and grind our way to something. And we got done with that that non-penalty that we didn't get. But again, that was something that wouldn't be the last situation where we got done by Howard Webb's minions. So then we go on to February, and obviously, again, we lost to City in January in the Cup, and then obviously we went up, stayed in, went back up to the North East, and another 1-0 defeat up there, and it was a disappointing game. It was a game I thought that we kind of had our chances, but we just lacked composure. If you look back on that game, we did have a couple of half chances. I think Saka had a good chance. And we just lacked that composure, and then obviously that led up to to compound that was the Brentford game on. I know you was there again for that, Daniel, because obviously as a season ticket holder, and that result and what would happen. And then again that led into the City result. But Bright, it was a bit of again, this is when the roller coaster really started to go a bit crazy, innit? Because it was like a couple of bad results, and all of a sudden we pick up two good. But again, I think there's a theme of this season it's just been too chaotic, and especially at home. I think we'll get Daniel in a bit, but there were too many games where it was like 3-2, and we were keeping teams in the game before we sort of maybe got an extra couple of goals, or it was like a last minute thing or whatever. But yeah, what do you what was your take on February, Brian? What was your standout in that?
Well, the standout was probably the kind of the recovery basically at Villa Park against Villa. You know, we had a little bit of luck in that, you know, but it was, you know, it was going to be that time of the year, isn't it? We kind of all go through that time of the year where the results are always going to be at that time. It's going to be up and down, and it was kind of, as you said, it's always been a roller coaster. You know, the results away to Leicester and away to Villa. You're thinking, right, okay, we've got over the City result. We've got over it. Now we can kick on again. And that was kind of that's where you're thinking. And you know, the celebrations probably at Villa Park was the one really where we were thinking, right, we've got something out of this. And then, let's do away as well. The roll is starting. And then, you know, we all know how things ended up. But, you know, they really did take us on that kind of that journey through, you know, on that. But it also showed, to be fair, it did show that there was a level of resilience in the team that we got, even with the squad size that we had.
Yeah,
there was a level of resilience, okay, which we'd not seen from the season before, and I think that was the thing, the telling thing as us as fans and supporters probably thought, you know what, this is the Arsenal what we kind of expect,
yeah,
and then expect we're going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we came back from, you know, a goal down quite early on, and we were 2-1 down at half time, I think, and then we obviously, you know, drew. It came back with Zinchenko with his goal. But Steve, yeah, I think we were obviously accused of over celebrating against Villa. I mean, if you can't celebrate, you know, like that when your ex that keeps on, you know, Martinez is basically an ex that keeps on texting you and sliding your DMs like, go away, you know, move on, you know, and man still chatting about you and stuff like that, and trying to tarnish your reputation, your character. But you know, what was your what was your take on February as well, man? What stood out for you? I mean, obviously, a big thing was obviously Jorginho scoring that goal and becoming more embedded in terms of, you know, there were still people questioning his signing because obviously we were after Caicedo didn't happen. Obviously, him getting that goal seemed to have, you know, got a few people on side. What was your take on that? Because I thought that was a massive moment for him, and just for us to kick on a little bit. Oh, you're mute.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. From that game, I expected him to get some more minutes. To be perfectly fair, didn't really materialise, especially when we thought we needed him a bit later on. But yeah, that 4-2. I mean, the celebration police were out in full force. I think that day, you know, everybody was down there, and rightly so. It was good, as Brian said. We had got over 3 games without a win, and then thought, where are we going to go? And then you go 1-0 down quite early on to Villa, and you're thinking this is where it's starting to fall apart. And then to come back the way we did, and you know, Martinelli's last goal, you know, hands out, open goal. Yeah, it was good. I mean, when I look back in it, and there are plenty of fond moments in that month. Despite the Man City result, as you said, Mike, we did have a couple of chances, and with better finishing, better composure, a bit more experience as well, we probably get something out of that game. And of the 2 league games that we played them, we actually gave more in that game than at their ground. So, yeah, you know, look, we can look back in it and talk, but the Villa one was probably the standout game in that month, and Yeah, celebration, please. I was on the phone to your man on BN Sports, going, "Are you watching this?"
Yeah, it was a great moment, especially Villa. Obviously, the last couple of years they've been a bit chirpy with us, trying to get Emily Smith Rowe, thinking they're on the same level as us, and just showed them levels. But yeah, Daniel. Next one is a bit painful. Obviously, it's March, and I say it's painful because obviously that picture it's not a copy, it's not reverse picture. That's the situation where a few people have said that's where wheels didn't come off, but a few of the bolts got loose, and we didn't really know it yet. We were still rolling down that road, or the roller coaster, I should say. I'll keep that reference. And a couple of screws came out of the roller coaster. We didn't know it yet. We were all enjoying ourselves still a little bit. But yeah, were you there that night, Dan? And I think Neil's come on and said that basically he was there and he saw that situation. And he was like, he kind of knew that was massive. That not just one but two, and two that Tommy Asu's so versatile he can play the left and right. But what was your feelings on that, man?
Yeah, I was there that night. We were completely outplayed by Lisbon that day. We were chasing shadows for much of the game, to be honest. And you know what? They played in a manner that was actually quite nice to watch. If I'm honest, their left back was stunning. Can't remember his name, but he's rapid. And he was just everywhere. We just couldn't do nothing. And obviously that they had that weldy that took them through from the halfway line. At the time when Saliba and Tomiyasu went off, because we didn't really know the extent. I didn't really know what the extent was, so I wasn't sure what to think at that time. I thought, it's just a little knock. They'll be back a couple of weeks or something. So I wasn't really expecting for them both to basically be out for the rest of the season at that time. So I think, if anything, I was obviously more bothered about Saliba. Tommy, I wasn't really too bothered about anyway, if I'm honest with you, because he hasn't really been an integral part of the squad this season because of injuries and lack of fitness and bad form. When he came in, he had a few real stinking performances. So, but yeah, I agree. There was a few concerns that started to come up just with how Sporting played us, especially at home, how they were able to basically boss us. And then if you look at other teams that came to Emirates after that, Brighton did the same thing, come and played us off the park.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other games as well where we really got played around really at home. So yeah, I think you're right. The wheels weren't coming off, but the bolts have started to loosen a little bit. I like that analogy. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah, I know.
The league form was cool. The league form was cool, but I'll be lying if I wasn't. I'll be lying if I wasn't honest and say that I was expecting to beat Lisbon and actually go to the final of the Europa. To be honest.
Yeah. I think we're all pretty much expecting. Yeah, there's already talk about, what do we do? Do we want to go for the league, or do we capitalize on that? And then when we got knocked out, everyone was like, "Oh, okay, it's right. We've got bigger fish to fry. We've got only one thing to focus on now." And obviously the game before that, before the away game at Sporting has been the 3-2 at Bournemouth. Again, it was just another crazy game, another epic game, another an emotionally draining game. But then you've got the Fulham performance, which was one of our best performances of the season. I put that down as my best performance. Obviously, Tottenham, and I know some of you guys said Tottenham away, but for me, that was the first half was just sensational. It was proper team performance. I think it was Xhaka's goal. I think where it was like 20 odd passes, and I think Saliba unlocked it with a pass out the back, and it was just amazing. But then we combined it with that, and then we've got the Palace game, which, as again, they were in that game. 4-1. You think, oh yeah, we absolutely battered them. We didn't. We was like, I think when it went back to 2-1, I think Zaha had a great chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ramsdale just tipped it past the post, and that could have been 2-2, and that could have been something else. So it was just too much. We weren't being efficient enough. We weren't being, and obviously we were going into the next part, which is April, where things, again, another 4-1 win. Leeds had some chances, Brian, that game as well. They had some really good chances. We had to rely on Ramsey. It was almost a repeat of the Bournemouth and the Palace situations where we were hanging in before we sort of finally got the win in the end. But yeah, come on, let's talk about the 3 draws, man. Was it that moment for you, the Saka penalty, where it properly?
To be honest with you, I'd go back to March, where there's six games in the month. Yeah, and that's on the squad that we had. That's a stretch on that. That would be a stretch.
Yeah. Especially when you take into account there's Arteta's lack of rotation.
Yeah. So leading into kind of April is probably just very much the hangover anyway of March. And then you're losing Saliba, you've lost Tomiyasu. It's starting the kind of hangover probably starts from there, really, even though the result, as you said, regarding to Leeds. And the Saka penalty, yes, was a turning point. But the West Ham game in itself, as well as the Liverpool game, for argument's sake, when you look at the game at West Ham, first 15 minutes, we were it looked like already that we were kind of that we'd won the game effectively. We'd killed the game off in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we just started to do not the basics right, and that's what that was my biggest frustration when I watched that game. We just did not do the basics right, and when it gets to that time of the season in April, where it is then it is the running, that's where you play your percentages. When you're winning games, not starting to do silly flicks in here and it was the Liverpool game. I kind of as we say, it's like the Bermuda Triangle going there anyway. Do you know what I mean? You're either going to get a battering, or you go there and and try and find a way of winning. But the West Ham game was definitely the one for me.
Steve, what was your one? Where it came off? Go on.
Lots of people are going to say it's the Liverpool one, and who's right? I agree with Brian. I do think it was that West Ham one where we were cruising at 2-0, and we weren't professional.
Yeah,
and I think that's what hurt the most. Against Liverpool, I mean, you're 2-0 up. You can be 4-0 up at Liverpool, and you can still lose the game 5-4. To be perfectly fair, it was, yes, we're 2-0 up, and yes, you want to try and game manage the game, and then towards the end we probably could have lost it and could have won it. But the West Ham one, we were cruising and we weren't professional. We should have got a third before half time, and then that game is done. Once the team's on the ascendancy and they're playing and they're back in the game, if you've not been at that level, it's hard to get back up there. Do you know what I mean? We've seen it countless times when, especially in Europe with us for some reason, where we're just quite slow and not up to speed, and then all of a sudden the other team's got a bit of ascendancy, and then we've not come back into the game, because once you drop back and you're sitting deep and you're quite relaxed and you're not at the same high tempo, it's difficult to get back up to that high tempo again. And that West Ham game, when we were cruising, we just went, we're cruising, instead of going, we need to batter these lot. We need to just get a couple of goals. We need to just be professional. That's the word I'm going to use. We just need to be professional. That comes with a lot of inexperience with the players. The Saka penalty miss. Look, apart from the World Cup, that's the first one he's missed, isn't it? Salah's missed 2-3 penalties that this season. So it happens, isn't it? It happens. He's our penalty taker now. So he's gonna take some. He's gonna score some. He's not gonna score some. Sometimes it's going to be costly. Sometimes it's not going to be costly. But I think that knocked his confidence a bit, and we see that going forward.
Yeah, definitely did. Yeah, especially when you hear what obviously Ramsdale said about him and ESR last season when they both felt personally responsible for the drop off and not finishing in the Champions League spot. You can't imagine what he felt like, in a situation like that. What about you, Dan? Was it the West Ham game? I think the Bournemouth one was not the Bournemouth. The Southampton game was just ridiculous as well. That compounded everything as well. You've got to turn those guys over. You've got to come out better than that. And so what was your thoughts on that, Dan? April.
For the month of April, I've actually got a slightly different viewpoint to you guys. I was really angry with the Liverpool game because our history there has been so poor, and we put ourselves in such a great position to win it. First half was great until they pulled the goal back. Then even in the second half, they pummeled us quite a bit. But I think it was the nature of how late the goal was from Salah and the fact that they not from Salah, the equaliser from Firmino, as usual. I think, was it 11 goals against Arsenal in his short Liverpool career? Something like that. Yeah. Crazy. But so I think the manner that we lost that in the last couple minutes, where we lost the lead and then almost lost the match, but for that worldie from Ramsdale, I think he made about 2 saves, didn't he? So I actually left that game really, really. I didn't go, but I was really angry because I think the primary reason, because predominantly most of the friends I have that are fans of football, most of them are Liverpool fans. And so in all the banter groups that I'm in, a lot of my friends, it's the overwhelming majority are Liverpool fans, and I was getting it. I was absolutely getting hammered left, right, and centre. You know what I mean? And I think there was just so many little things in that game that really irritated me. I didn't understand why we played the inverted fullback in that game, because Zinchenko was just getting had for beans on toast, and he got done by Trent for the equaliser for the goal they pulled back. Didn't he get done by Trent for both of them? Actually, can't remember, but I know he definitely got done. But he got the last one. He got megged, didn't he? Yeah, just the way we kind of. I know a lot of people talk about the incident with Xhaka. Yeah, there's some truth to it. You know what I mean? You have to manage that Anfield crowd because they are ferocious, man. So yeah, there was that little bit of I guess everybody that's played at Anfield has said once you keep the fans quiet, once you keep them shut up, you got a chance of winning the game. And to be fair, even Tottenham, they've got quite a good record there. They know how to go to Anfield and play. So that really, that game really angered me, more so than the West Ham, than West Ham, to be honest with you. And then into the Southampton, I think I called you that game, Mike. I blew my head off at Southampton. I was really angry. My mate I've got 2 season tickets. So the guy who was using my second ticket that game, he left when it was 3-1. He left when it was 3-1 Southampton. And then of course I think it was Trossard who hit the bar in the last few seconds.
Yeah.
See, that game really angered me. That proper angered me because even with the West Ham, I thought, we'll come back against Southampton, we'll beat them, and we'll get back on track.
Just to add something, Mike, with the Southampton game, is there was a statistic before the game, just saying, teams that are top of the league, going for the league, losing or not getting a win against the bottom place team. And it's unfortunately it's one of them things that is very, very true. When it's top v last, it's for some reason the scale is always sometimes tipped in favour of the lesser team, especially when you're going for a title. So yeah, I saw that before the game and sort of went, yeah, that's not the one.
Yeah, it's not good when you think we took 2 points off them all season. And, that's a lot of points dropped and. It wasn't good enough. It was just the way we conceded that first goal with the pass from Ramsdale, and then just the way we were just open for the second one. I think at that point, I think Zinchenko, his head had gone. He was crying on the bench when he got pulled at Liverpool, and then his head. And then teams were just targeting that side because they just knew they weren't going to be there, and they pulled it off, and obviously then we went into again the roller coaster goes back up again. Chelsea, win against a terrible Chelsea side. Let's call it right. But again, we're not clinical enough in that game. We should be looking to win that game for me 4-5. We get another goal, we give another goal away at home. Which we'll see in a minute with some information, and then go to Newcastle, where I'm thinking, well, we'll be lucky to get out of there with a draw, and we put in a performance, and we hang on, we ride our luck a bit, and then obviously things fall apart, and we virtually hand the title to City after that defeat against Brighton. Brian, what was your thoughts on May? Did he leave it too late to make the changes? Because obviously by then he got Kivior back in sort of a holding. But was he too late?
I don't think it was necessary. I think would I say it'd be too late? No, I think it just showed that squad wise, I think when it comes down to it, we probably were kind of 5 or 6 games short of mentally doing the job, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think, because when you look at the game, the Wolves game, for argument's sake, when we battled on 5 and looked like we just looked rejuvenated, didn't we? There was no pressure. There's nothing. We just looked like, it was like the opening game of the season, effectively, wasn't it? And then you see the games beforehand. You see the Brighton and Forest. Yeah, as you said before, if we'd have played that Forest game, and we'll be still trying to score against Forest now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. And Brighton effectively just did a job on us. De Zerbi got his tactics right. He came off the back end of a battering himself as well. So it was in some respects, that was a game where I was very fearful of that game after they got battered. There was no way they're going to have back-to-back performances like that.
Yeah.
And they've done a job on us before. And we got effectively the same result again. And I think that's how that was the game, I suppose, that the players really needed to be mentally at their best as well as technically. And I think we didn't get any of that right at all. And that was the downfall really from there. Yeah,
I think that was the game, the Brighton game, where Steve, that was the first time we sort of heard Arteta come out and say, almost, fire some shots at the team. Before early in the season, I think after we lost, did we lose to City? I think it was when we lost 3-1. He was talking about how much he loves the guys and he loves them even more. This after that performance against Brighton, he was pretty much saying, you can't play like that. If you play like that, then we have to look at things and analyze things and get players in that aren't gonna, execute, when the pressure's on. And what was your thoughts on what you said there, obviously, and just that performance? Because we had chances in that game as well. If I remember, I think there was an opportunity where Odegaard should have pulled the trigger and he didn't, and he sort of hesitated and he made a pass, and then he had a shot further out when he should have passed. You know what I mean? It was like the lack of, like you said, I think you said earlier, the lack of composure.
It was not to go back into it too much. It was how do I put it without swearing? It was a cluster fudge. Yeah, you know what? It was. I think by that point, because I think they had the City result earlier, and I think they just went, it's done. You know, and at no point Arteta would be going to them, it's not done. He's not done. He's going, it's not done. But I think internally they just went, it's done. To go back a little bit and to talk about the players and the game management and how we address those things and how we should have addressed those things. I think those are things that we've talked about throughout the season in pretty much every game in terms of using your squad. Why are you keeping Saka on when it's 4-1, when it's 4-0? Just take him off. You know, the kid played a lot of minutes and he takes a lot of responsibility. As you said, Mike, him in the RS last season were like, it's our fault. You know, it's not your fault. It's a team game. It's a collective. And that's from top to bottom. So I just think there were times when, like the West Ham game, for example, we had an opportunity to play Jorginho, and I don't think he played that game. In the Southampton game, we had an opportunity to play Jorginho. He didn't play that game. And you just sort of go, those are the games you brought him in for. That's the experience. That's the know-how. That's the get you over that line and get you that win. And those were the things that more disappointed me and than anything. Like I said, by the Brighton game, they had the result from the earlier game and just went, it's done. It's done. And then Forest, yeah, it was, again, it's done. And we just didn't turn up. And then obviously Wolves game, home game, last game of the season. It's a case of it's either you turn up or, you know, your position is in danger. So that's what we got.
Yeah, it was again, yeah, just the way we had it in our hands, you know, right up until that point. And, you know, we were saying, I think a couple of weeks ago, you know, just make City win it, don't hand it to them. And we did exactly that. What was your thoughts on that, Dan? I know you didn't go to the Wolves game because obviously you knew it was going to happen. What was your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I didn't go to Wolves because I was really angry with the previous two games. So I gave my ticket to someone else to go. And I ended up in a big argument with a bunch of Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, you're fake," and blah blah. Listen, mate, I pay for 2 season tickets every year. Don't tell me I'm fake. Yeah, and I used to work at the club as well for 10 years. Do not tell me I'm fake. I'm just really, really peed off. I've got the right to be. So yeah. I've just written a few things.
Yeah,
down, but yeah, I agree that Brighton performance, I was there. It was really awful. I'm sure you guys saw it on the TV. They did a number on us completely. I agree with what was said about the tactics and the personnel. Kiwior at left back and then Partey on right back. It was just awful. I don't know what Arteta was thinking. He just seemed to just lost his mojo by then. Some strange decisions, really, really, really strange decisions, and I agree with what was said about Saka. Too many minutes for me, and he just got burnt out towards the end of the season. And it was actually, I think me and you were talking about it, Mike. It got to the point where it was actually at one point it was really painful actually watching him. Like his yard of pace had gone. That ability to drop his shoulder, he just seemed to be knackered. And you know, that's something we have to address in terms of giving him competition, giving him. Sometimes giving him a bit of a rest every now and then, much like how City managed Foden. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then Odegaard, we spoke about Odegaard before, like the most subbed captain in the Premier League. Why is that? Nearly every game he subbed off. It's only towards the end that he started to stay on for a few 90 minutes. But you know, why is it that he's dispensable when he's probably the most creative player in the team? Is that a sign that, you know, we don't have enough midfield options in terms of protecting games? Is it a sign of that? I don't know. Partey, he only plays half a season, doesn't he? Second half of seasons, he just loses it. So that's another concern. He just completely goes missing, man. And then the key ones for me, Trossard and Nelson. I was really excited about Trossard signing, but for me, he didn't get used enough.
No.
Nelson was explosive at times when he come on.
Yeah.
171 minutes that kid was given this season. 171 minutes in the Premier League. Terrible. That for me, that's terrible player management. Especially when you look at Trossard and Nelson's statistics. It's not bad considering the limited amount of minutes they had. We're here talking about Saka burning out, Martinelli getting the injury, but he still really didn't give Trossard and Nelson many starts. Do you know what I mean? And then there's obviously the issue what we spoke about with Zinchenko. By this point, Zinchenko was getting targeted left, right, and centre. Everyone was having him for beans and toast by then before he got the injury. Again, another player you got on the bench, Tierney. Really good orthodox left back. Why is he on the bench when sometimes we just need to defend and just have that orthodox shape? So some really baffling decisions from Arteta towards the end, April and May. Don't know. We don't know. Look, we don't know what's going on in the dressing gown. Yeah, we trust Arteta and stuff like that, but we still are allowed to have our voice and to have our say. And for me, I think there's certain things, and I suppose when he goes to bed at night, he'll be thinking about this kind of stuff. But there'll be definitely be decisions that he's made that he definitely has thought to himself, you know what, I got that wrong, or I should have played Jorginho a bit sooner. I should have taken Saka off a bit sooner then, or I should have played Nelson in that game, or I shouldn't have played. I should have played, Partey in that game, or Kyrgios at left back in that game. He will know. Arteta will know. They as a internal staff structure, they will know. They're obviously not going to tell us and tell the media, are they? But they will have their own reviews of the season, and I think they will know where it's gone wrong. Edu will know with regards to the squad management and the availability of players. Not signing Casado, it happened before when we didn't sign. I think we were after Douglas Luiz, that kind of player. So it's obvious that we've been after that kind of player for a while, and we haven't nailed it. So we need to nail it this time.
Yeah, the summer's massive. It's absolutely huge. Liverpool already making moves already. But I think with the whole Kvyat thing and what he was trying to do, I think he was just basically, seemed like to me, he was trying to mirror or flip the inverted player to come in. So this time it would have been Partey coming in, because when it was Zinchenko, White was on the was the right back, but obviously we know he can play centre back, and obviously he came in when Zinchenko inverted, and on the other side, you've got a centre back who can play left back with Kvyat, or with Partey. When he comes in inverted. Then Kvyat comes in as a free. So maybe he's just trying to find a way to flip it in that regard. So when Zinchenko isn't there, he's just going to do the inverted, but he's going to do it on the right hand side, and maybe that. And then we know Caicedo can do that, because he did that for Brighton against us when he actually played right back and he was doing the inverted stuff there. So, and which Partey was doing for those last two games. So maybe he's sort of putting the team in the zones, so to speak, in terms of what's to come maybe next season. But yeah, again, it was almost a mirror of last season. Have a couple of disappointing results, and then we beat Everton 5-1, and then this season it's 5-0. Nice new kit on and everything, and everyone's happy. They got a nice reception from the fans behind, which was great, obviously, because it has been a great effort. Just obviously disappointing how things have fallen away. But what we'll do is we'll go on to the next bit, which is just about what I'll ask you guys your players of the season, your goal of the season, performance of the season, and etc. And we'll just go through some of that now. So we've got the player of the season. So Daniel was gone for Odegaard and Saka. Brian's gone for Odegaard. Stephen's gone for Saka, and I've gone for Odegaard. Saka's had a great season. He's played every game. He's featured in every single game. But I think for me, obviously, Odegaard with the captaincy as well, and the amount of goals he scored, obviously this season, 15. The sort of numbers are up there with Fabregas and what he's done in the past. So that's why I sort of went with him. I'm imagining you've gone for the same for this kind of same reasons, Brian. Obviously, I think even I agree with you, Daniel. He's been pulled, he's been dragged a few times, which is surprising. But I think if you look at the Southampton game where we came back to 3-3, I don't think that's happening. If he actually stayed on, didn't he? He that game, and he was instrumental in getting something out of that game, and that's why it's a bit baffling. Unless there's an underlying injury or history there where he can't play certain games, maybe. But if he didn't play 90 odd minutes that game, I don't think we're drawing that game. I think we're losing it. But yeah. So, what was your thoughts on Stephen on Saka? On it, what was your reasons?
For me, it was a close one because yes, with Odegaard and obviously my guy Benny Blanco at the back. It was a close one. I went for the star boy because though he faded, he didn't shy away, if you know what I mean. He never shies away. He's happy to be that guy. Like I said, the penalty miss was a penalty miss, but he was happy to be that guy. There's a striker who you'd think when fully fit would go, I take the penalties, and that should be the decision. But Saka, when he was given penalty duties, has always said, I'm that guy, and that will make him a better player for it. I think next season we'll see a different type of Saka, a bit more direct. I think, as you mentioned earlier, he started to fade and wasn't taking on players and looked a bit leggy and looked a bit tired and looked a bit not sure what to do. But when he turned it on, I mean, my God, he did. And, look at the Man United game, for example. He knows how to have the right sort of banter in terms of his goal celebrations and just saying, look, Rashford, you think about it too, mate. Like, I am who I am, innit? And again, for his age as well, he's still, what is he, 20, 21?
21, yeah.
That's
so
mad. And that's why I went for him. Like I said, it was close. I literally flipped a coin and just went heads or tails, him or Benny, heads or tails, him or Odegaard, and he got the nod.
Fair play. Yeah, I mean, it was close. So I think when Daniel put his ones in, I was pretty much split down the middle. But I just think, with Odegaard, with the added responsibility of being a young captain as well, I think he just got it because
Saka's,
that's not to say that he's had a bad season. He's had a tremendous season, and his numbers are tremendous. And we go to most improved player, and obviously he's pretty much Daniel and Brian have got the same. With Martinelli, he got 15 goals, 5 assists in the Premier League. Stephen's gone for Gabriel Magalhaes, and I've gone for Stephen's boy, Benny Blanco. And I'll say I've gone for him because I think last season he had a good season, but I think for him to play in that position on the right and to form that partnership with Saka and to contribute as well, he got a couple of goals. I think he got 5 assists in the league as well. I think that's why I've put him in there as the most improved. Daniel, what about your boy Martinelli?
Yeah, for me, the jump up he made this season was massive. Very hard to ignore. His goal and assist contributions this season was outstanding for me. I think it was 24 goals and assists combined. Can't remember, but it's between 20 and 25 anyway. Just his decision making still has a bit of way to go for me. He's got all that pace, and sometimes he keeps his head down a bit too long. But I can't. I'm not really going to criticize him, to be honest. He's had a fantastic season, and for me, it was hard to pick because there's other players who have come on a lot as well. I think Gabriel has had a good season, as not as error prone as he has been, but for me, just for the contribution going forward, I went for Martinelli. And just one quick one, actually. I just had a quick check on the stats. So Odegaard subbed off 23 times in the 38 games that he played.
Wow. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the highest subbed captain. The next subbed captain, most subbed captain, is way down the list. He's 4th overall in terms of most subbed player in the Premier League this season.
Wow.
Considering the top player was a Brentford player, the centre back Janssen. I think he plays in midfield actually. He was subbed 27 times. So Odegaard's not far behind, 23 times subbed off.
Wow, that's mental.
Yeah.
That's absolutely mental. Oh, man. So hopefully that won't be the case so much.
Hopefully so.
So we go to Unsung Hero. So, Daniel, you've gone with Credit Xhaka, and Brian's gone with Jorginho. Steve has gone. Obviously, he had to vote for his boy. It would have been null and void if he wasn't there. I was expecting it. I was just wondering. I said, when I sent the WhatsApp message out, I said, "What category is he going to put him in? Every category, or is he's got to put him in one of them." So he's put him in the Unsung Hero, and I've gone for Gabriel Magalhaes, because I think talking about Gabriel. All the talk has been about Zinchenko. All the talk's been about Saliba, about how amazing. I think Gabriel, he's been tremendous. He had his little wobbly moment against Fulham when he let Mitrovic score that goal, and then obviously he came back and he got the winner. But I think for his numbers, he was ever present. He played every single game in the league, and he was just reliable. He was just always there. He was really sort of reliable and always talking. A great leader. And I know, we do talk about it, but I had to put him in there, and I had to have a shout out for Eddie as well, especially for when he came in and what he did. When we were all worried, we all thought things were going to kind of fall apart once the Premier League resumed. But yeah, Brian, talk to me about your boy Jorginho. What's he doing?
Why I put him in? Because the time when we probably needed him in the team, he wasn't in the team, but he was still the person driving the players that were starting in front of him. And we actually, we needed him in those games. Steve, you said, West Ham, South, that game, he should have been playing in that game, without a doubt. But
what if we lost Brian again?
In 11s, through a crucial time of the season where he's been a player who has won things, he's got that experience he can bring, but they didn't kick up a stink or anything like that. He just made sure that the fact that they motivated the players that were effectively there. And when he came in, he made his contributions when he made, and you can see a difference when he played. So I felt slightly, would you say unsung hero? I would say, I think he's, it was just unfortunate, that he didn't get the game time, and we didn't see enough of him, basically, because I think he could have been a difference in some of those games to get a point, nick a win,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Steve said it earlier on. Yeah, we bought him for that reason to get us over the line. That you have to be the experienced head, and we kind of left it too late. Made those changes too late, and Kirill as well. So signing of the season, I've got to say, I mean, I was thinking Trossard should be. I would have put Trossard there as well, just because of the numbers. I mean, 10 assists. I think he's played 20 games for us, and he's got 10 assists, and he's had 10 starts as well. So that's that's crazy numbers. So even though he's not on here, I've just got to give him a shout out, because he's been a tremendous signing. And again, I hope that he features more, and I'm sure he will, with what we've got to come with the Champions League and the Premier League, and those sort of weeks where he'll get his chance to play and come in. But obviously, time of the season, Daniel's gone for Gabriel Jesus, Brian's gone for the Star Boy, Stephen's gone for Jesus as well, and I've gone for Jesus and Zinchenko, because I've gone for just the way that up until the fall off, they transformed the way we played, and their experience. They actually plugged their experience into the youth that we got, and it all started with that first game against Palace, where we were just absolutely electric for 30 minutes. And it's funny when you think about that game. First half we were absolutely electric, 1-0 up, only 1-0 up, and then we're hanging on, and Palace have a couple of chances, and then we kind of finish it off at the end. And that, if you look at the season, that's pretty much how things kind of went on and panned out. We only got 2 really, really big wins, 2 5-0 wins at home. But other than that, it was always been, we're always letting teams have another chance in, and so that's what we need to sort out next season. But yeah, anyone want to say talk about Jesus, obviously, because we've Daniel, Steve, about what he done, especially considering he missed 3 months of the season as well.
I'll be very brief. Work rate. That's it. It was the work rate. I like Zinchenko, his passion, his enthusiasm for the club, his love for the fans and everything. It's a flip a coin moment. You could have chose anyone, as you said, Trossard, Jorginho, Zinchenko, or Jesus. You could have chosen anyone, to be perfectly fair. I went with Jesus just because of that work rate. When you see somebody work that hard, especially that first half of the season, is even when the goals were not there, he was still working, and that's what you want. You go, if you can't score, at least work for your team.
Yeah,
and he did it, and he did it well. So that's why I went with him. And I could have bought Ben White there because moving to the right back side, it's like a new signing, isn't it? So...
Unbelievable, man. But he's pretty much the same, Dan, for yourself as well, in terms of
just the way how he's galvanized that number 9 role. But yeah, just from a squad perspective, I would like to see a few differences, but we'll probably talk about it in a minute.
Yeah. Cool. Just off the back of that, Mike, I know I've put Saka in there because he signed the team now, isn't it? So that's but I think why it would have been easy for me to put Jesus or Zinchenko and stuff like that, because the levels of the expectation of them coming from City, we were expecting them to bring something different and better to us anyway, as signings, and that was my expectation. You are going to make the side better anyway. Do you know what I mean? As transfers from where you've actually come from. If you'd have come from, if it was like a Nathan Ake from Bournemouth to Man City, and he's turned up, he's there now. That's to me that's a sign. But my expectations were from those two coming in to make us better anyway.
Yeah. True. Good point, man. So team performance of the season. Daniel and Steve have gone for a 2-0 win over was it 20? Was it 2018?
Don't swear. Don't say the name.
Was it 2018? I'm trying to think. Hang on. Was it the 2018 Audi Cup winners or was it the 2019 Audi Cup winners? I'm trying to think which year it was. But yeah, the 2-0 win against the Trophy Dodgers. The Shadow Dwellers. This is the last chance I might get to say this in the season, guys. The Wastemen. Whatever. So the 2-0 win against them. Brian's gone for the 2-0 win against Newcastle, and I've mentioned earlier the 3-0 win against Fulham. I think just again, first half performance was sensational. 3-0 up, we're thinking, okay, we're gonna cook these 5 or 6, and we're kind of hanging on a little bit. They hit the bar, but still, I just think the football we played in that first half, coming off the back of, I think it was the Sporting Lisbon draw. I think it was when we drew away from there, and we went there, and everyone was saying, "Yeah, Fulham are really good, and it's going to be really difficult." And we went there, and we just put them to bed. But yeah, pretty much. Says exactly what it says in the tin with the 2-0 win, to go there, to go to Tottenham and get a win, get a double over them for the first time in a long time, was very, very, very enjoyable. Very enjoyable, and even Gabriel Martinelli throwing that scarf over the spider cam as well. So that was hanging up there for ages. I'm sure they were trying to, all the stewards were running around trying to get that down, man.
You know what? I'll just add something to that very briefly again, Mike. It was everything, that game, that Tottenham game. As you said, it was the performance, it was the players. There was a unity. There was a clear focus at that point. even with the thing that happened with Ramsdale, with their fan. We were a team. It was a proper team. To go away to your rivals who for some reason think they're a big club. No idea. Literally no idea. They've ruined managers that have been so successful in their career.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely ruined some top managers, all because they think they're a big club. But we went there and we showed them that no, actually, even in your best period in time, you're still no one.
Yeah.
You're still no one. No one cares about you. You're irrelevant. You're just a manager ruiner, and that's how polite I'll put it.
And touching nicely on that, as you can see, pretty much cut and shut for the goal of the season. But Brian, explain yourself. You've gone with Odegaard against the Trophy Dodgers. What was your you mentioned it in the message to me. So go ahead.
It was just the way he took it. Thomas Partey just took out 3 Tottenham players. Just basically one pass took 3 of them out of the game completely, and just to release Saka, and then the strike, it's like an arrow from Odegaard. Just it's just. It was, but as I said, it was more the lead up to the goal. What I liked, and what Thomas Partey. That was Thomas Partey at his best.
Yeah,
that was at his best. He literally took out three players with one pass, and left them for dead. But obviously, it would have been obvious to go for Reece's goal just for for the drama aspect of it. But I looked at it as just a piece of football, basically, upon how we literally just made them look even worse than they already are. Anyway,
you know what? Just again, sorry to keep butting in with these brief things, but I nearly went for the team performance. I nearly went with the was it the first game against Crystal Palace where Saliba scored the own goal?
At home. That was against Leicester, I think it was.
Yeah, I nearly went for that game only because of the fans. They sung his song, they sung his name, and just said, "Don't worry about it." Like, do you know what I mean? That at that moment of the season, it was very good, because usually you score an own goal, the fans get in your back, and all the doom and gloom sort of stuff. Everybody just started singing his name, and we went on to win the game. And it was. I said that for me was probably game of the season, because it was a beautiful moment. And it's not very often that you hear fans sing your name when you scored an own goal. It's all the the fans that this season have just been immense, and that's the special shout out. So yeah.
Yeah, it was. That was a special moment. There's lots of good moments, obviously, with the fans. Obviously, Ashburton Army, what they've done as well. So yeah. Sorry, I think I mentioned. I can't remember which goal it was. The Fulham goal. It was the one which I mentioned before. I said Xhaka scored it, but it wasn't. I think it was Martinelli that scored it. But it was like I think 22 passes, and it started, and we were playing at the back, and then it went to Saliba. And he just played this pass out of defence, and it just opened them up. We just totally bypassed Fulham's press, and because they were pressing us really hard at the start, and we were kind of struggling to get out. But yeah, that goal, I can't remember if it was Martinelli or Odegaard that scored it. But yeah, that's just a worthy mention as well. But obviously, Reece Nelson's one, goes without saying. We all thought that was the moment. That was it. We're destined to do this. When that went in, it was like, oh my God. I think if it happened close towards the end of the season like that, and we were in the position, then probably said, but because you're looking at it now in the kind of like a day, because it was so far out, we're probably thinking, maybe we went a bit too crazy and stuff. But yeah, that was a special moment, man. And at least he's sticking around next season now. Looks like it seems, if he's going to sign a contract, and hopefully, again, as Dan said and Steve said, trusting him more and getting some more minutes, because it's what he's had so far isn't right. So just going on to pretty much what I think Dan mentioned as well about the away record. Obviously, the best in the league, but obviously surprising that United have had a better home record than us. And this is how Man United, who finished several points behind us. We can see there's something which is really jumping out at you if you look at the home record, and that's the away record. That's the away goals. So the goals conceded. Sorry, I mean, that's just way too much. In it, Dan. I mean, you would have been there and seen probably most of them go through. So I blame you, man. The game you don't go, we get a clean sheet, man. So
especially those couple games where the goals were like you barely sat at your seat and a goal's gone in.
Yeah,
that happened a couple of times. We weren't solid at home this season as much as I would have preferred us to be. As you can see there, 25 goals conceded in 19 games. Yeah, look at the goal difference compared to City. I know it's difficult to compare to City, but if you really want to win a league, you can't have stats like that at home.
Yeah. You got that needs to be. It needs to be sorted out, and I think Arteta's already. It has to be the midfield. I think where he gets us a bit more athletic and mobile in there to cover and put danger out. That's what Rice is good at. That's what Caicedo is good at.
Yeah.
So the dream is to get both of them, and then just totally reboot that engine room.
I was just touching quickly on what you were just talking about Nelson and his contract.
Yeah.
If you had another category where it would be player you would have liked to have seen more, or player you'd like to see more of next season, for me it's Reece Nelson. I think to be honest with you, I can understand why he's probably contemplating signing that deal. I can really understand it, and if he goes, I wouldn't even be mad at him. To be honest, I think the way him and Tierney have been used this season has been terrible. We've not made good use of those resources.
Yeah, totally understand it. Yeah, because I when they said he's going to sign the contract, I was surprised because I thought, he's gone basically for that reason. He's not been given minutes. He'll probably go to another team and get a lot more if that's Brighton or whoever they're talking about. Because he'll have people after him. He'll have suitors, won't he? In the Premier League. But maybe it's the Champions League. Maybe that's the carrot. I think a lot of players, people are saying, "Oh, let's get rid of, Eddie and things like that." And it's like, well, unless you're going to force him out the door, he's not going to go anywhere. He's got Champions League football. He's going to have a chance to maybe play. All it takes is an injury again to someone, and he'll get minutes. So I think we do need. There are players that we do need to maybe say goodbye to. Like Holding, and looks like it's going to be Xhaka, because now the levels have gone up now. Especially with what we've got coming next season, and obviously we've got to make sure that the levels are there. And again, obviously, like I said, certain players are not at that level anymore, and you can't. People like Holding and stuff like that, and then any, good professionals, good professionals and stuff like that. But you've got to get ruthless now and try and improve, lift the levels of quality, because he's going to have to rotate. Because like I said before, if he's going to play, run his first 11, you can't play them, Champions League and then Premier League and then. Premier League again, and then you can't keep playing people like that. It's got to have players at a certain quality, so when they come in, the level doesn't drop. So,
I think we've also got to look at the fact of what we've got to offload from the players who are on loan. They are the ones that we need to look at very quickly to getting them off the books very quickly.
Yeah,
the ones that have been in and around the squad this season, other than probably the likes of Rob Holding and stuff like that. There's probably still a chance for some of them, as we can said, from Reece Nelson, but it's the ones that are out on loan. You've got to think of the Nicholas Pepes, we've got to think of the Nino Tavares of this world. Getting them off effectively if they're not going to be a part of it, getting them off the books very, very quickly to free up wages and potential transfer money coming in for them.
Yeah.
The quicker that's kind of done and resolved, the better it will be as well. Because then you've got, you then probably just got your youth players to get out on loan and stuff like that, not fringe players just taking up wages and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we just wrap stuff up. But just before we go, just what would be? I'll ask you each of you. If there's one player that you could get in, obviously we'll have a couple of transfer shows and we'll talk about shopping lists and things like that. But start with you, Dan. If there's one player that we could sign tonight, because we know we're impatient, we can't wait till tomorrow. So, so if there's one player you could sign tonight, who would it be? One player, Daniel, just not.
Oh man. Oh God, that's hard. Go. I don't know.
Will you come back?
I don't know. Honestly,
Steve's got a name. Go on, Steve.
Stepney.
There you go.
No player like him, I tell you. I think it's got to be the Brighton man. I think it has to be him. I think, he's young, he's athletic. If the inverted right is another option that Arteta is looking at, he can play that. He did it well against us. So yeah, I think it's him. If not him, it's me. It's easy.
Pay for free, yeah. Cool. Brian.
Oh, see, I like Caicedo. My issue that I have with him is that will his head be turned by Real Madrid in 2 seasons?
Yeah, true.
That's the only issue that I've generally got there. Other than that, we know what's on the market at the moment, and Declan Rice is on the market. Says he wants to come. I think there's a level of loyalty, I guess. I think you might find with Declan Rice, so he may be there for a slightly longer haul. Will we see the best of Declan Rice? Because at the end of the day, we see what he does at West Ham. He's now going to be stepping up a few levels.
Yeah.
So will we necessarily see the best of him coming in? So we need it though. We need someone like that. We need a bit of drive, a bit of energy in midfield.
Yeah.
But as I said, Caicedo, I like the kid, but I'm seeing 2 years' time. I'm thinking Madrid will be knocking on his door, and he'll be maybe on his way.
We can always do a swap with Madrid for, Camavinga or someone.
Yeah. What a bargain.
We can go and take Asensio now.
Yeah, free transfer.
Yeah, free.
Right, Dan, you've had enough time.
Yeah. No, it would be Declan Rice. I agree with Brian. I think Caicedo is good, but for me, young and inexperienced, that's his first proper season. By the way, his first proper season as a starter, Caicedo. I'm a bit concerned about paying all that money for someone who's not quite a proven talent as yet. For me, Declan Rice, what is he, 23, 24? All the drive, the energy, the tackling, carrying the ball out of midfield, being a captain at such a young age, English as well, so the passion, staying in and around London where he's from. We know he's a Chelsea boy originally. I just feel that he's somebody who would really do well in our midfield, sitting at the base of our midfield, and he chips in with his fair share of goals as well.
He ticks all the boxes, basically what you're saying, isn't it? He ticks a lot of boxes where, Caicedo, very, very athletic. I mean, people keep making reference to the game they played against each other a couple of weeks ago where Caicedo was outstanding and Rice was sort of left in his wake a little bit. But as you said, Dan, he ticks a lot more boxes, than Caicedo. And he sort of, if Xhaka is going and there's a bit of a gap for those someone with that kind of leadership attributes, then Rice sort of kind of comes in and plugs that straight away. Yeah, and there's a lot of things for him. Obviously London as well, and Champions League football. You know, that's going to turn out to be a really key thing for us.
For me, if you look at the stats, I know, we know that Arteta and Edu like players that are adaptable and stuff. But if you look at the statistics, Casado, he's great, got great energy, he'll win the ball, but what does he do with it after that? He's not really, he doesn't really carry it that well. You know, he'll just give probably a simple pass. Whereas Rice he can ping a ball, he can shoot, he can run with it. If he loses it, you know he'll be running back after you to get it back. Do you know what I mean?
The ideal word would be I would love to get both of them, but let's see. Let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But that's been a end of season review. Thanks very much. The first one for Arsenal above all, and you know what season it's been. It's just a shame it kind of tailed off at the end because we would have had all the party poppers out and the party hats on and everything in this one, and all the cognac and all that stuff would have been out, man, flowing. Brian and Steve were ready for it. Steve just stocking up. I noticed you're getting more and more stuff there as the season was going on, Steve. After each win, but it's just a shame that you didn't get to bust one of those bottles open. Man.
No, not busting right now. If we get Rice, we'll bust one. Yeah.
But no, I appreciate all the support that you guys are giving me and giving me your time to come on the show and seeing it grow and everything. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully, you want to continue on the journey, moving forward into next season. Hopefully, you get a little bit better. I think I mentioned before, I've got to change a few things about. Especially the intro with Xhaka going. He's not going to be on it anymore, so he's already bloody carbon dated the bloody thing. You know, it's just that's it. I can't, so got a few changes in that regards. But if something big happens, we'll obviously try and do a quick show, a quick chat about it if there's a big signing. But there will be a transfer one that will come up, and it will be like with the slides and stuff with a couple of players that we'd ideally would like to get in. And sort of budgets that we'd be looking at as well. So, thanks for your support. You can catch this on Spotify, on Acast, on Anchor. Obviously, watching this on YouTube. Share it, and like and let all your Gooner friends know about the show. And obviously, if you're not a lunatic, who knows? You might be able to come on and share your opinions about the Arsenal. But thanks very much, and I'll just say thanks to Brian Haley over there, rocking the black shirt, and don't try and do my thing there. Steve, call me Steppy down there. Thanks again, man. Thanks for your time, and Daniel James down there, milk tray man. He's off to do some rounds, and and where this will be out as soon as I press the button. And thanks very much, guys. And all I have to say is have a good summer, a couple of weeks, whatever it is you're going to do. Try not to stress too much. Enjoy your life and everything. And always Arsenal above all. Okay, come on, you Reds.